Have you ever watched a market crash unfold in real time and felt completely frozen, not because you didn't know what to do, but because you had nothing left to do it with? Every dollar already deployed, every position already filled, and the greatest buying opportunity in years sitting right in front of you like a door you have no key to open. That feeling is not just frustrating, it is expensive. And for most investors, it repeats itself cycle after cycle, not because they lack intelligence, but because they never built the one thing that separates observers from actors during a crisis: a deliberate, pre-positioned reserve of cash. Jim Simons spent decades building one of the most successful trading operations in financial history. The Medallion Fund didn't dominate markets by being reckless or by chasing every opportunity with every dollar available. It dominated by being systematic, by understanding that preparedness is not a passive state. It is an active, strategic choice made in calm conditions so that when conditions stop being calm, the system can respond rather than react. Simons treated cash not as money sitting idle, but as optionality being preserved. And optionality, the ability to act when others cannot, is almost always underpriced by average investors because its value is invisible when everything is going well. You don't notice the value of a reserve when markets are climbing. You only notice it when they stop. Here is what most conventional financial advice gets dangerously wrong. It tells you to stay fully invested at all times, to never let cash sit, to keep every dollar working. And while that logic sounds reasonable on the surface, it was designed for passive index following investors, not for people trying to build real compounding cycle aware wealth. When you treat full deployment as the default, you are essentially telling yourself that every moment in time is an equally good time to buy. And that is simply not true. Markets misprice assets constantly. Crashes are not anomalies, they are scheduled irregularities. They don't arrive on a predictable calendar, but they arrive always. The question is never whether opportunity will come. The question is whether you will have the resources to meet it when it does. Think about something simple. Imagine you frequent a particular shop where one item has been overpriced for months, something you genuinely want but cannot justify at the asking price. Then one day, the owner needs to move inventory fast. The price collapses to a fraction of what it was. Do you have money in your pocket at that moment, or did you spend everything at the previous stop? That is the entire philosophy of strategic cash allocation. The market is just a much larger, much louder version of that shop. Assets get mispriced in both directions all the time. But mispricing only becomes your opportunity when you are liquid enough to act on it. Now, here is the psychological trap that catches even intelligent, well-researched investors. When markets are rising, holding cash feels like a punishment. You watch numbers climb on assets you don't own. You hear about others doubling their money. The pressure to deploy builds quietly and persistently until it becomes almost unbearable. This isn't simple greed, it's something more subtle. It's social comparison, compounding on top of the very human discomfort of feeling left behind. And that discomfort drives people to break their own strategy at exactly the wrong moment, going fully in right before the cycle turns. The antidote is mechanical, not motivational. When you pre-commit to a rule, a genuine, written down policy about what percentage of your investable assets stays liquid at all times, you remove the daily emotional decision entirely. The rule makes the choice. And the rule doesn't feel left out during a rally. It doesn't panic during a sell-off. It just holds its position and waits. This is deeply consistent with how Simons approached the entire enterprise of investing. Remove the human emotional variable wherever possible. Replace judgment calls made under pressure with decisions made in advance under clarity. The deployment side of this equation matters just as much as the holding side, because here is what actually happens to most people during a real crash. They held some cash, they watched the market fall, And then they still didn't act because now the fear is loudest. The headlines are worst, and deploying capital feels even more terrifying than it did before the drop. The cash that was supposed to be a weapon becomes just another thing to protect. The same emotional architecture that prevented full investment during the boom now prevents deployment during the bust. Fear wears different clothes in different seasons, but it is the same fear. The solution is to decide in advance and in calm what conditions trigger deployment. Not a specific market level you will never call the exact bottom, but a threshold of decline at which the math has shifted far enough in your favor that increasing exposure becomes the logical move, regardless of how the news cycle feels. You build that rule before the crash exists. You commit to it, and when the environment matches the criteria, you follow it. The emotion simply does not get a vote. This connects to a distinction that sophisticated investors understand and most retail participants don't. The difference between risk and uncertainty. Risk is measurable. We know with high confidence that markets will correct significantly at some point. That is a risk we can plan around. Uncertainty is the emotional texture of living through that correction, the specific headlines, the particular triggers, the social panic that feels different every time, even when the underlying mechanics are the same. Managing risk is a systems problem. Managing uncertainty is a psychological problem. Holding pre-positioned cash solves both simultaneously. Your system has resources to deploy when risk creates opportunity. Your psychology stays grounded because you prepared for the discomfort before it arrived. Let's talk about what this looks like stretched across multiple market cycles, because this is where the real wealth gap becomes visible. Consider two investors starting from the same point. One is always fully deployed, maximizing exposure in every environment. When crashes arrive, she absorbs the full decline and recovers eventually back to roughly where she was. The other maintains a standing reserve of 15 to 20% in liquid, short duration instruments. His peak returns during bull runs are modestly lower. But when markets crash, he deploys into genuinely distressed prices. He doesn't just recover, he recovers holding more units of quality assets acquired at prices unavailable during normal conditions. Over 3 or 4 full market cycles, which is exactly what a typical investing lifetime contains, the difference between those two outcomes is not marginal. It is the difference between a comfortable retirement and a genuinely transformed financial life. The compounding effect of repeated preparedness is invisible inside any single cycle and enormous across all of them. Here is the reframe that this entire philosophy rests on, and it is worth sitting with. Holding cash during a bull market is an act of confidence, not an act of fear. Most people read a large cash position as a defensive, pessimistic posture, as if the holder doesn't believe in growth or doesn't trust the future. But that interpretation is completely inverted. The investor holding strategic cash is saying something precise. I am confident enough that genuine opportunity will arrive, because it always does that. I refuse to exhaust my resources before it gets here. That is not fear. That is disciplined patience with a specific purpose. There is a version of boldness in finance that is really just impatience in disguise. Going all in at every moment, treating maximum exposure as maximum conviction, that is not a complete strategy. Real boldness is maintaining your reserve when every signal around you is screaming to deploy it. Real boldness is being boring on purpose, so that when the market finally gives you the gift of a real dislocation, you are one of the only people at the table with chips to move. So here is what we want to ask you directly, and we genuinely want to hear your answer in the comments. Right now, today, if the market dropped 30% from its current level, what would you actually do? If the honest answer is nothing, because I have nothing left to deploy, then you don't yet have a wealth building strategy. You have a strategy for riding markets up and absorbing the full damage on the way down. You deserve better than that. And more importantly, your future self, the one who will either thank you or quietly blame you for the decisions made right now, deserves the gift of your present discipline. Drop your answer below. Tell us what percentage of your portfolio you currently keep liquid and whether a past crash ever left you wishing you had held something back. There are no wrong answers. Honesty about where you are is always the first step toward where you want to be. And if this framework for thinking about cash is new to you, if it has shifted something in how you see liquidity, hit the like button and subscribe. We break down the mental models behind extraordinary financial outcomes and translate them into logic you can actually build your life around. Cash held with intention is not the absence of a strategy. It is the foundation that makes every other strategy possible: quiet, patient, and ready. The market will eventually give you the door. The only question is whether you kept the key.